everyone. Happy Friday. This is Nitha Ramachandra from the NRR Sports Show. This is episode 922. We are live on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Spotify right now, and I'm joined by a really special guest. His name is Stephen Baker. He's a former NFL wide receiver for the New York Giants. He played for Fresno State in college, and he won the Super Bowl for the New York Giants, and he got drafted in round 3, 1987, pick 63. Man, what a great career he had, and now he's doing big things outside of his career. And I'm just truly an honor to have Stephen Baker on the show today. And thank you again for joining. And how are you and your family doing today?
I'm doing good, man. And I want to thank you for having me on the show. I see all the distinguished guests that you've had on here, and I don't need what you want with me, man. I'm not even the same class as some of these dudes, but it is truly an honor, and I really appreciate what you do, giving a platform for guys to at least reminisce about their careers. Because, as people don't realize it. It is good to talk about the old times because it was something we did that was kind of special, and all the athletes that you have on your show. It's a blessing. So thank you for doing this for us.
Yeah, no problem. And I'm truly glad that you guys agreed to come on, take time out of your day just to come on the show and just talk life, sports, and your journey and your careers. And but before we get to your journey, I don't know if you heard the news today. We got some big breaking news in the NFL that Zachgertz from the Eagles just got traded to the Arizona Cardinals. And speaking of the Cardinals, 5-0, they're crazy. They're loaded now. And I don't know if you saw that, but I just want to get your quick thoughts on that trade.
Man, and it's funny you said it because I was driving home. I didn't see the game, but I watched the highlights. He just scored a touchdown for the Eagles. I wonder what that trade it went through had they won the game. But you know what? That the Cardinals are loading up. Yeah. That's what that's telling me, that they're like, we're going to do whatever it takes to make sure we cover all our deficiencies to make sure we make a good run this year. And what an addition, man. Yeah. And the quarterback for the Cardinals, I was not against him, but I was like, how, and it's a shame that I said, how could a little guy like that run around like that? Yeah. But he is freaking good, man. He throws that ball on the money, and who knew the Cardinals were going to be this good?
Yeah, they're a scary team. I don't want to face them, but we'll get to that later. But I want to start off with your career. Obviously, you grew up in San Antonio, Texas, and what was it like growing up as a kid there? And obviously, when did you decide to get into sports, especially playing football? And who was your biggest role model in that?
All right. So first of all, I was born in San Antonio, Texas, and I was there until about the age of 6, I think. Mm-hmm. And I used to always watch your Dallas Cowboys. So I have a right to be a Cowboy fan. I was born there. I used to watch them every Sunday on TV, and because that was the only thing that would come on. But I fell in love with Roger Staubach and all those guys. And back then we didn't have Madden, of course, but they had electric football men on the metal grate. You turn on the switch and they vibrate all kind of ways. You got to set them up again. Yeah. That was my first introduction to football. And I had one of those sets. And I said, football seems fun. So when I went to school, I think I was probably in the 3rd grade, and the kids were playing football, and they asked me if I wanted to play. I said, sure. And I didn't know what to do. And if you remember, one of the little men on there were like this, the blockers. Yeah. So they put me on the line, and I just stood there like this. And the guy ran around me and hit the running back and burst his nose open, and he went crying, and blood was going everywhere. Wow. And they thought I did it on purpose. So they put me back there. And I saw what happened to him. And when they pitched me the ball, and I'm not even lying, the first time they pitched me the ball, it was just a toss. And I just outran everybody to the sideline and scored a touchdown. And I'm like, you know what? That was fun. And ever since then, I've been in love with football. And I tell you, I knew from then on that's something that I wanted to do all my life. And, of course, one of my biggest role models, of course, was my mom, raising a single parent, raising 2 kids in South Central Los Angeles. And we turned out just fine. Favorite athlete at the time, Drew Pearson. I'm sure you remember him.
Yeah. Finally, Hall of Famer.
Oh yeah, number 88, man. Yeah. Him and Butch Johnson, because Butch Johnson was from Los Angeles too, and I was a diehard Cowboy fan back then. Yeah,
but
catch that.
But finally Hall of Famer for him. Congrats to him, and
absolutely.
So I want to ask you though, did you obviously in this generation now, coaches in the football like to play players in multiple positions or versatile players. For you, back in the day, did you get to play any other positions? Did you learn any other positions in the game of football before choosing receiver?
Yes, I actually in high school, I played safety, believe it or not. I was a pretty good defensive back, but I knew it wasn't for me. The first time, everybody dreams of getting that big hit, somebody coming across the middle. This tight end came across the middle and I had a beam on him and I came up and I laid it to him, man. And he got up like nothing happened and my head was spinning. And I said, you know what? I don't ever want to do that again, because it actually felt like you just ran into a wall full speed. And some people like that. I asked the great LT, what does he think about when he hit somebody? He said when he hit somebody so hard, he imagined them just being a skeleton in there. And if he hit him so hard he hurt himself, he did a good job. That was not my mentality. So I stuck with the offense. To me, playing offense and scoring touchdowns on punt returns and just running by people because they misjudge you because of your size, that was so much more fun to me, because as you can imagine, throughout my whole career, when they looked at me, I was 5'8", 158 pounds when I got drafted by the Giants, believe it or not. And so just overcoming all those obstacles and finding the position that I loved, which was wide receiver. And, it's kind of tough being 5'8" when they want 6'2" guys all the time, but persevered.
Yeah, but to be honest, I don't think it doesn't matter about height, because you see some of these other receivers are short, and it's all about talent and how hard they work. And to be honest, for me, when it comes to height, it doesn't matter to me. I think they need to focus on the players' growth and how hard they work each day and the talent wise. So for you, what was the process for you, like overcoming the obstacles and getting to where you're at right now? And just tell our fans about the obstacles that you have to overcome.
Well, for one, like we mentioned, the size, man. When I came to the Giants, Parcells didn't really pick he always said, if you're gonna let me cook, I need to shop for my own groceries. So he didn't pick the players. Our general manager, George Young, did. And he brought in myself at 5'8", and first thing Parcells says to me, well, when he drafted me, is like, how do you feel about playing for the Giants? I'm like, I'm all with it, coach. And then I get here shortly, I'm walking by him one day and he's like, come here, Bake. And I was like, yes, coach. He said, you know what? You got 3 strikes against you. You're little, you're from California, and you got an earring in your ear, and I don't like any of them. Wow. So he's always won with 6'2" guys and whatnot. So I had to kind of earn his respect. And I guess I proved to him, that was my whole thing. He knew how to push the buttons on certain people. Like me, it was always challenging my size. And I had to overcome getting off the line of scrimmage. Back then, if you couldn't get off the line of scrimmage, you couldn't play in this league. And thankfully, that was one of my strong points. And, like I said, going across the middle was always a concern, and during a 16-game season, because I was never a starter, believe it or not, but I always finished up the year as a starter with about, I played the remaining 14 games or whatever, and I would never get the starting job again because he didn't think I could withstand a whole 16-game season without injury.
Wow, interesting. Wow, that's crazy. So for you, this is a 2-part question, and what did you learn, especially in high school? So obviously senior year is really important for high school players, because that's when the scholarship starts coming in and the colleges come in. So for you, what did you learn as a high school player senior year? And did you get any advice in high school from NFL players that you looked up to, or any other NFL players did they give you any advice when you were in high school?
Actually, if you remember the Raiders, Rod Martin, who plays for the Raiders, an outstanding linebacker, went to USC. His mother was my Sunday school teacher.
Oh, wow.
So it was an inspiration. She would just knowing that he made it out of our neighborhood, so to speak, and played for USC and played for the Raiders. He was kind of like a big inspiration. And also the great Warren Moon went to my high school as well, Hamilton High School in Los Angeles. And those were 2 guys that I kind of wanted to follow in their footsteps. And, not knowing that we're the only 3 guys in that school's history to make it to the NFL, and 2 of us are Super Bowl champions, just to show how hard it is. But I would say that, my grades weren't the best when I was in high school, and I found out the hard way when scholarship time came around. I had a chance to go to UCLA and USC, but I couldn't go there because I didn't have the grades. And that's always my message to kids now, man. Get those grades right. So you get that opportunity, you can go. You know what I mean? Thankfully, I got a second chance. I went to a junior college and I excelled there. And the best thing could have happened to me, I dislocated my shoulder and I couldn't play football. And I had to go to the library and study, and consequently got my grade point out average up from a 1.5 to a 3.0. And then scored 15 touchdowns my first year. And all those colleges came back and said, second year, 16, hence the name, the touchdown maker. I got it in junior college, and all those colleges came back just giving me scholarships, man. So that's what I learned probably the most my senior year of high school.
Wow. Yeah. So tell our fans about your college recruitment process. Obviously, you went to Fresno State. How many other offers did you get, and what made you choose Fresno State?
Yeah, that's a good question. We had 6 trips back then. I don't know how many the kids can take now, but it can get pretty overwhelming. You get all these. So I had UTEP. I went to Purdue, and I think I went to Illinois. And I said, my head's going crazy. And Fresno was my last pick because Coach Sweeney, God rest his soul, came to West LA, was sitting on the stoops with me at West LA Junior College, and they invited me up for a trip. And I went, and the quarterback, Kevin Sweeney, was going to be back for 2 more years. Henry Ellard came from there. Stephon Page, 2 outstanding receivers in the league. They threw the ball a ton. And I was like, this is the place for me. I went there. It was on not only, but 30,000 people dressed in all red. And it was a college town, and they loved the Bulldogs. And, I always tell kids, don't always try to go to a big time program where you're just not going to play. Even if it's D2, D3, whatever, go somewhere where you can develop these memories, because at the end of the day, life's all about memories and getting that education. So I chose Fresno State, man, and it was the best choice I could have made. The first time they put me back for a punt return, I took it for a touchdown. The place went crazy. Wow. One of my fondest memories. And I had the best 2 years of my life at Fresno State. It was truly a blessing.
Wow. Yeah. So speaking of Fresno State, and what was it like once you signed that letter of content and making your family proud and your mom, and then how relieved was it for you once you signed that, and then now you can just focus on college and football now?
I tell you, like I said, I didn't grow up in the best neighborhood, and I remember when there was Coach Hill at the time, who was Fresno State's head coach at one time, but he was a offensive line coach, man, and he recruited me, and that just goes to show what a great recruiter he was, or coach he was. He came and was sitting in my living room, and it's so funny. I was about to sign with UTEP. They had me sold on running the triple I, and they were going to hit me on the deep post every play, like play action, like, because nobody's, and I don't know why I was buying into it, man. And I never forget when Coach Hill UTEP was in my living room, and Coach Hill was across the street at the bowling alley. He said, "You didn't sign yet, did you?" I said, "No, I didn't." He said, "Don't do it. Trust me, don't do it." And I had to let those guys down and tell them, "Look, I need a little more time to think about it." And, it's funny how things happen and you just make the right decision. And I think I did, but it was overwhelming and such a blessing to make it. My mom was so proud of me. I never forget. And my dad and my brother as well.
Yeah. So speaking of kick returning, and what do you like about that? Because that adds a different dimension to a person to an athlete's game. And if you look at Devin Hester, one of the best who did it, you got Cordell Patterson, who's still in the league, did that. And you can go down the list. So what do you like about kick returning and punt returning?
Well, I loved it in college because we had I was third in the nation my senior year, and I had 3 called back because it was a fine line between clipping. And the way that Coach Sweeney had it run, I would catch it, go forward, and then go give ground about 15, 20 yards. And they're like, what's he doing? But you're lining up the ducks to get them to come in and then run back, and the wall's coming to you. And there'd be a fine line between clips. And I had a very good knack for that. And that's why I got drafted, I believe. I averaged over 28 yards a catch when I was at Fresno, and I was an outstanding punt returner. And as fate would have it, as soon as I get here, I catch a punt, and they hit me in the face mask. And Parcells, I never forget, get him out of there. I don't ever want to see him back there again.
Oh my
So I
God.
was a backup to the great Phil McConkey, and he
Wow.
didn't give me a fair chance though, like he gave Dave Meggett, because Dave Meggett fumbled 4 times, man, in a preseason game against the Patriots.
Hmm.
And I never forget, Romeo Cornell looked at Coach Parcells and said, "What do you want to do?" And Parcells said, "Leave him in there."
Yeah.
He didn't afford me that opportunity. I probably would have blossomed like Meggett, but it was a blessing just being a backup to him. And in the league, I'm sure other athletes have told you, the more you
Yeah.
can do, if you're just a receiver, you're expendable. But if you're a punt returner or a special teamer or do something else, the more you can do, your chances you can make the team.
Yeah. So tell our fans about the atmosphere in Fresno State. What was it like playing there? And obviously the fan base, they have a great fan base, and they're a growing football team now, as you see. So what was it like just playing for that college and wearing that red jersey, blue jersey, and it seemed kind of like the Giants colors a little bit.
Yeah, man, I loved it. Trust me when I tell you, it was the most exciting because we had a thing there. They used to bring sirens, man, to the stadium, right? Everybody would hold up sirens when the punt return was called because somebody was going to go to the hospital because of the way I told you we set them up with the
Yeah.
crackbacks. And of course, those would be illegal hits now, but man, that place used to go crazy. And it was an honor to bring them to their feet so many times, man. And we had our own bowl game there. It was called the California Bowl. I came to the league and tell everybody, and they were like, "What is that?" But it was the first major bowl played on
Wow.
ESPN. That's where we got all our coverage, and it was called the PCAA, not the WAC that they're in now.
Hmm.
And I tell you, my first year there, we lost one, we tied one game against Hawaii, so we basically went undefeated, and then went on to the Cowboys to beat Bowling Green 51-3, I believe. And I had one of my greatest touchdowns in that game, a 60-yarder back of the end zone, 1 foot dragged it, and it was awesome. Then the next year we lost. I think we lost our opening game to San Jose State, and that ended our winning streak. But I think we got ranked as high as 22 or 15. I can't remember, but
Right.
we were a force. Nobody really wanted to play us, and it's still that way today. People don't really want to take a risk playing Fresno State because you don't know what you're going to get, but you're going to get 10,000 fans there and a good game.
Yeah, they're like a feisty team. And they work hard every day. They don't give up on plays. They fight to the end. That's
that bulldog spirit, baby.
Yeah. So I want to ask you though, what would you say to sum up your college career? What would you say your best moment was in college as a player?
Oh man, my best moment would probably have been the first time I got to go back to Southern California because Fresno is up north, and we played Long Beach State to go to the Cowboys. We had to win that game, and I tell you, it was a full moon, and not to sound corny, but one of my favorite songs by Phil Collins, "In the Air Tonight." Dude, it was something in the air that night because my head coach from high school was there, my
Wow.
junior college coaches were there, my mom, my dad, my brother, and I had 6 receptions for 226 yards, and I had a punt return of 60 yards called back, and I had another punt return for about, I don't know, it was like 40 yards, and it was just my night, man. Every third down, I was making these big catches and breaking tackles, and at the end of the game, when they showed the stats there, you see me hug my brother and
Wow.
tell you, I looked up, that full moon was out. That was probably the most proudest moment of my life. I came back to the dorms because this is why college life is so much fun.
Yeah.
I came back to my dorm room and everybody had posters, thank you, Bake. And it was just, I've never forgotten that.
And the after party must have been fun and lit, right? The after party.
Oh my goodness, you kidding me? Going to the Cowboy too, man? No, that was big for us. That's said it wasn't the biggest college program, but it was big time, man. It really was. I had a great time, and I got to rock my Fresno State gear. I got to go to Fanatec and buy me some more stuff, man.
Yeah. So before we get to your draft experience, speaking of family and coaching staff from high school and or junior college, and so how important is it for an athlete to have that support system around them, and obviously coaches that believe in you from day one and supported you and come to your games even. So how important is that for an athlete?
Oh man, it is huge, especially when they've seen you. Like when I was in high school, Coach Lurchman's his name, and we're still friends to this day, man. And we went undefeated in freshman football. We've never forgotten that. And then he became the varsity head coach, and I was a starter for him. And he always believed in me, even though I was the smallest guy on the team. Then when I went to junior college, Coach Babiak was another little coach like Coach Lertzman, but he always believed in me. And I'm telling you, I scored 31 touchdowns, man. We were bombing the ball away. He just turned myself and the quarterback Herman Evans. He just turned us loose. And when they came to that game I mentioned, it was really special. And I'm sure that they saw other games that I played in when I made it to the NFL, and I'm sure the Super Bowl. So, it's the journey is not just for you, it's for the people that got you there too.
Yeah. So now tell our fans about your draft experience, and obviously getting drafted in 1987, round 3, pick 83 from the New York Giants. And what was that feeling like, spending time with your family? And take us through your combine process. What was that like, the NFL combine, and heading into the draft?
All right, so the combine, man, is like an honor to get invited there, and it wasn't televised like it is today. And as you can imagine, when I got there, what they did was they have you in like lines of 10. So I was in, I don't know, I had USC receivers with me, maybe UCLA, all these big time colleges, and little old Fresno State, 5'8" little dude. And we had to do a bench press. And I never forget, I couldn't bench press 220 pounds one time. And you know how people snicker, they go laughing. So a couple guys were laughing at me. And I'm like, I didn't think nothing of it. I'm like, all right, we wait till we get out here on this field. And that's when I showed what I could do. And I tell you, what happens is they had the general managers, the coaches, all in one section, and the owners. And it was in the Indianapolis Dome. They're just sitting in the corner there, like, I don't know, 80 of them. And I brought them to their feet when I went for this ball. I came out of a break. It was no way I should have got to it, man. I don't know where it came from, but I was always good getting out of breaks. And I dug and I laid out sideways and caught it, and they all like gasped.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, that felt kind of good. I made them go like gasp. And as fate would have it, I didn't run the best 40 time there for some reason. So the Giants came out to Fresno to have me rerun it again, as well as the Seahawks. And because they said, we know you're faster than that. And sure enough, man, I ran a 4.3 when they came to Fresno to run me again. And but it was at the tension where the knife is so thick in there, man. Because you got to think about it. All these guys, and we're kids. This is your dream, and nobody wants to fail at their. That's like going for an interview. And it was a very tense experience, but I'm happy to say that I endured it. And it burns me up when I hear today some of these kids, and you probably hear it too, when they say, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to have a draft, whatever, a pro day at my college. When you should do that, because that'll tell me if you can play under pressure or not. You know what I'm saying? Because I want somebody who can play under pressure when they're not in their home environment. When you're at your pro day at your college, you feel a little more comfortable. But if you're somewhere else and got all these other, it's a different story.
Yeah, I'm just curious. So for you, obviously being from San Antonio, Texas, did the Dallas Cowboys have any interest in you during the pre-draft?
And it is such a great story about that, because I was a diehard Cowboy fan, man. I had Tony Dorsett's picture on my dorm wall until the day I got drafted.
Oh, wow.
And as fate would have it, I think the story goes like this. The Giants were up next. The Cowboys wanted to trade for me, and the Giants said nope. And you know how they get like 5 minutes to whatever. The Giants just picked me up right away. Wow. And I think the Cowboys picked Calvin Martin, I believe. He was from Boston College, I believe. Anyway, and they said they're going to look at it and see who's if they made a mistake or not. But to think that I was this close, bro, I'm telling you, I was the Dallas Cowboy diehard. But when the Giants got me, of course, I said, you know what? I'm still going to like the Cowboys up to that point. But now I bleed blue.
Yeah. Yeah. So now heading to the draft, and what was it like once you got your name called, and from Bill Parcells and the rest of the coaching staff? So what was that like once you heard the name, and especially talking to one of the great coaches in the league, Bill Parcells?
Well, yeah, Odessa Turner, my teammate, was a 4th round pick. And it's funny that Bruce Allen's name is in the news, but Bruce Allen was our agent. So we're based in Arizona, and he brought up all the draft hopefuls the night before we had a dinner. And then you go to bed like, okay, we're projected anywhere from 1st through 6th. Back then there were 12 rounds. So we don't even wake up for the first round because we know we're not going to be first round. But we wake up and, the third round is kind of late. So we in there having breakfast and they had a big monitor showing all the draft picks. And before they show their name or say who they picked, there was a ticker tape going across. But before that even happens, the coach calls and says, he calls me up and says, hey, Steven, how you doing? I said, good. And he said, this is Coach Parcells from the Giants. We're thinking about taking you third round. How do you feel about playing for the Giants? And I'm like, do I really say what I want to say? You know what, Coach? I'm really holding out for the Cowboys, but thank you for the call. He would have been like, click. But I said, Coach, I feel excited to play for the Giants. And he said, you know what? Well, you got to have one thing. You got to hate the Redskins. I said, Coach, I hate the Redskins. And sure enough, shortly after that, ticker tape came across and that was it, man. Then they fly you out. And I got flown with bad weather. It took me 9 hours to get to the stadium.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then I get there, right? Mark Ingram and nobody's in the stadium. Back then we had orange seats. So I'm trying to catch the ball for these guys, and the ball looked the same color as the orange seats. Dude, I was dropping everything. I'm like, they about to send me back. Like, he's not what we thought. But they let it go. But one positive thing was he did call Phil Simms out of off-season workouts to come watch me run routes. Because honestly, I'm not even trying to brag or nothing. On turf, man, I felt unstoppable. I was quick as a hiccup on turf. And so Phil Simms came out and threw me a couple of balls and watched me run. And so it was a pretty good experience I had being a third round pick.
Yeah, so once you get drafted, now it's all focused. You go into training camp, rookie mini camp, and you see players like you just mentioned, Phil Simms, you got to play with. You got to play Harry Carson, Leonard Marshall, Lawrence Taylor, Pepper Johnson. Man, I can go down the list. You guys had a talented roster, and I can't forget Carl Banks, a great player. Yeah, Carl Banks. And so, what was it like just heading in there as a rookie and seeing players like that, being surrounded?
All the guys I was watching on TV, man, I had to pinch myself. I'm like, wow, they got LT here, and my locker was next to the great George Martin, who was all class, man. I learned so much just by being his locker mate. And for instance, like doing appearances on your day off, guys do appearances and you go get paid for them.
Yeah.
And you can get kind of caught up doing that, like thinking everything should be paid. I was a rookie. I didn't really know how it works. So he asked me to come to a United Way event. And I said, okay, Mr. Martin, but how much are they paying? And he's like, Bake, I'm going to ask you again. Can you come? And I like, how much are they paying? This is my last time asking you. Then I got it. He's like, everything ain't about money, man. You know what I'm saying? And you don't know that as a rookie coming into New York and stuff like that. And I've never forgotten that. And all money's not good money. And whenever I can do something to help somebody, that's what it's all about at the end of the day. And I learned that from the great George Martin.
So did they make you do like some kind of rookie hazing back in the day? Or
oh yeah. But yours truly, I'm slick, man. You see, I got all this technology, man. So I'm always thinking. I'm shy, first of all. I can't dance. I'm the rhythmless brother. I can't rap. I can't sing. And I am really shy. So what I did was they would hit this thing, the glasses at dinner time, ting, 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 ting. And I tell you, it only took one time when they made my boy Odessa Turner get up and speak. And Odessa couldn't think of nothing to say. And they told him to say his ABCs, sing like a roach and all that. I'm like, that's not happening to me. So after practice, I would run in there with my uniform on and make a to-go thing, take it back to my room and shower. I never had dinner there. They never got me, bro.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because it is embarrassing to see some big 6'5" linemen getting up singing their alma mater and they just laughing at you.
Crazy. Man, that's crazy. Yeah. So what was it? Before we get to the Super Bowl run, I want to ask you, what was it like playing like with a player like Phil Simms, a great quarterback, and I feel like that he makes everyone better around him, and for you just to able to catch footballs from him and just to play with him and seeing him go about his business.
Yeah, he was a great quarterback, man. He always, I will say this for him, he never hung you out to dry, meaning the ball, you come across the middle, it was always right here or right here. You never had to reach out for it and take a hospital hit or whatnot. And I would say in a 2-minute drill, he has to be one of the most calmest guys in the huddle. And he would give me a little hint, like if we had mirrored routes, meaning X and Y run or Z are running the same routes, like 12-yard outs. As we're breaking the huddle, he would say, "Let's go, Bakes." And that's when I knew, like, not that I didn't run routes hard anyway, but you give a little extra. That means I'm looking at you first. And I tell you, when the first time he did that, it's like, wow, okay, Sims is looking for me on this one. And so he was a great quarterback.
Yeah, so tell our friends about the Super Bowl run now. Obviously, it's always tough to win a championship in all sports. It takes a team effort, even maybe sometimes a coach's message during preseason before the season starts. So, what was it like? What was that? Take us to that season, and what was the one key message that Bill Parcells said to you guys as a team and getting ready for that season and that run?
Wow, man, I can't remember, but I do remember this. We were 10-0, and we had to play the 49ers on Monday night. And at that time, it was one of the highest viewed Monday night football games because we were both undefeated. And we ultimately lost that game. And I remember it was so close at the end. Parcells said to us, "Men, keep your heads up. We may see them again." And you didn't think nothing of it, like whatever. And then as you fast forward, we got them again in the playoffs, man, in the championship game. So that's what I remember the most about that season. But going into it, though, I believe the year before we lost to the Rams at Flipper Anderson crap. And that stung, man. I can't even tell you how that stung and how fired up that gets you for next year, because we were so close, and to lose in overtime like that. And we had a hunger. And like I mentioned earlier, we went 10-0, man. It felt like college ball. We went into every game knowing that we were going to win. And it was like college. And that was arguably, of course, my best year. I came in as I started the third game of the season. My first start was against the Redskins. I went 80 yards against them, and I finished up the whole year as a starter.
Wow. Yeah, so obviously defense wins championships, and and you guys had a defense, and you got what was it like? What was it like as an offense seeing the defense go out there? Lawrence Taylor, Leonard Marshall, Carl Banks, Pepper Johnson, Harry Carson, Mark Collins, Perry Williams, Kenny Hill. You can go down the list. So, what was it like just going there out every game and have confidence in your defense? They can get 3 and outs every time and have your offense out in the field quickly.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, man, football is fun. And when they do that and they get the ball right back to the offense, we get to go back out there and have some fun. It was awesome, man. And LT, to his credit, like the stuff that he would do would even amaze me. I mean, like when he would, you leave him unaccounted for on a sweep to the other side, and he's running flat down the line and making the tackle. And in the game plan, they're like, "Don't worry about it. He won't get there." Until he would get there. And, you mentioned the defensive backs, Mark Collins and Perry. Man, I can't tell you how hard we worked in practice. We're all good friends, but we worked each other so hard. And the great Bill Belichick always would say, "Babe, give these guys, a run," because believe it or not, little guys give the defensive backs the most problems. Bigger guys, they can get all up in their chest. It's the little shifty guys that the tall DBs have problems with. So I would work them so hard in practice, and they would in turn work me. So when we went against other people, man, they weren't as good as our guys in our eyes. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong. There were some great DBs out there, like the great Darrell Green and whatnot, but one or two, I really felt like nobody could guard me in the league but our guys, and they'd have to have a good day.
Hey, there's a reason why you were called the touchdown maker. So.
Oh yeah, and you know what? I catch a lot of flack because today's game, 21 touchdowns for a career is not a lot, but people that know Giant football know that we were 1, 2, 3 out or pass, 1, 2 pass, 1, 2. If we didn't have targets back in the day. Like these kids talk about targets, man. Mark Ingram and I got maybe 3 targets apiece. And I'll share this: 36 receptions and maybe 38 starters. Receptions our Super Bowl year.
Wow.
That's unheard of. But you know what? We didn't care because it was all about the team. You know what I mean? Whatever they asked us to do, we did it. We didn't go complaining we're not getting the ball. We're not involved in the offense, because ultimately at the end of the day, it's about being the best player for your team, no matter what fact or fashion it is. Just be the best player for your team, and then you'll get a Super Bowl. Well, I put my Super Bowl ring somewhere. You get
Oh,
a Super Bowl ring, you know?
hey, like Andre Rison said yesterday, he doesn't care about the numbers. He just cares about the winning, and who cares about the stats? Just keep win, just win there as a team. So
Yeah, and you'd be surprised how many kids don't believe that. And that's my message to them all the time. Don't
yeah,
worry about being the best player in the conference, the league, or whatever. Be the best player for your team and win a championship, because that's what's going to be remembered.
yeah. So take us to the Super Bowl game, the actual Super Bowl game. You guys played the Buffalo Bills. You beat them by 1 point, 20-19. That was like a defensive game, crazy game, right? So they take us to that game. How confident were you guys in that locker room before the game, getting hyped up, facing the Buffalo Bills, another great team that's on the rise? But just take us through that, and how nerve-wracking was it at first?
All right. Well, it was a payback game because they beat us in the regular season. It's funny, like the two teams that beat us, um, we got a chance to see them again. And who knew we were going to see the Buffalo Bills again? And I never forget, in our offensive meeting the night before, our offensive coordinator, Ron Earhart, said, "Look, man, at the end of the game, I want to have the longest time of possession in Super Bowl history." Now, can you imagine that being said to receivers today? What would the kids? They would be like, "Are you kidding me? I'm not going to get any touches." Nope, we didn't care. Mark Ingram and I, like, we just going to be doing what we did all year. If we got a block, our running backs, Rodney Hampton and Otis, said, "Just get in their way, guys. We'll do the rest."
Hmm.
And so we go into the game, and I never forget, they flipped the coin the night before to see who was going to be introduced. You know, I know that deep down inside he wanted to introduce the defense, because that was the staple of our whole team. Our defense, you know, is no secret. But he flipped the coin, and lo and behold, it was the offense being introduced. And I got to tell you, I was so giddy, man. I called my high school coach up, my track coach, and said, "I'm gonna be thinking about you when I run out there," you know, and because like I mentioned earlier, it's not all about you. It's about all the people that helped get you there. And when I ran out that tunnel, man, and they called my name out of Fresno State, the great Al Michaels, who went to my high school way before me. Yeah, he went to Hamilton High School.
Wow.
And they called me, and I ran out, and those chills you get, man, they're like, damn, this is it. I'm in the Super Bowl. So you get in the game, though, you feel like you're in a bad dream. You know, you ever been in a dream, you're running from Freddy Krueger and you can't run fast enough?
Yeah.
And that's how I felt. And I'm sure if you talk to other players that have been in Super Bowl, ask them that they have a play that woke them up.
Mhm.
And mine happened on the third drive, I want to say. One of my two catches, Howard Cross, it went off his fingertips, and I just snatched it out of the air, and I was gone, man. Odom's grabbed me around the waist, and had he not got me, I was gone. And then it was like the light just switched. I was awake, man. It was like, okay, I'm fast now. My legs were back, and I just felt good. And
Wow.
of course, yeah.
So I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong, was Thurman Thompson on the other side that year?
Absolutely. And great player, man. After the game, I went up and shook his hand and said, it's just sad. I said, he would have got MVP, dude. He played his tail off.
Yeah.
And they messed up because they should have ran the ball from the beginning. You know what I mean? They didn't figure out till the last, 5 minutes, like, oh, they're only rushing 2 to 3 people. Let's run the ball. If they would have done that in the beginning,
Yeah.
I don't have this Super Bowl ring.
Yeah. So after you guys won that game, and going back to the locker room, what was the first thing? Did you guys smoke cigars, pop the champagne? And what was the first thing you guys did?
Wow, man, that was probably the longest like cheer, excitement that I've ever experienced in a locker room, because it's like we're world champions, man, and in the manner that we won, you know, he had to miss the kick, and them playing New York in the stadium, and that buzz in the locker room, it easily lasted for about 20 minutes, man. And then you go out with your family, the town, no matter what town you're in or city, because they didn't care. Everywhere we went, everything was comped because we were Super Bowl champs. And you go out to dinner with your family, and it's a time to reflect too. Like, wow, you know, some guys are lucky enough to play Pop Warner, so they can see all that. Me, I played street ball, and I'm like, I thought about all the guys that I played with from street ball all the way up to all my high school teammates, junior college teammates, and high school. And it's like, wow, and I'm the only one. That just goes to show how hard it is to make it. And you got to have a lot of luck too, man, to make it in the NFL, because I always tell kids you can be the best and still not make it, because it's all about timing, being in the right place at the right time too.
Did you guys didn't go to the club or anything? No club?
Not me, man. I was with my family, dude. I didn't do nothing
Yeah.
like that. I really didn't. Now, a couple of guys did. Now, the week leading up to the Super Bowl, I really was a saint, man. And Parcells doesn't give out very many compliments, but he told me that I had one of the best weeks of practices, that I've ever had, because I was seriously focused. I was like, I'm probably never going to make it here again. I practiced hard every day, and I went right back to the room and chilled and ate 2 pieces of key lime pie. That was the first time I ever had it, man. I'm still addicted to it. And that was my my whole game plan, because and I was right. You never know if you're going to make it again. So why would you do anything to jeopardize your best performance?
Yeah. Hey, Stephen Baker, man, hard worker, great. Like I said, you had a great career, a great receiver, and man, everything turned out well for you. And but I want to ask you about Coach Bill Parcells, and obviously he coached with our team, the Cowboys, too. And how big of an impact has he made in your career? And obviously, just talk about his legendary career, one of the best coaches in the game, and just how big an impact has he made on your career, especially?
Well, what he does and we have jokes, we still laugh and talk about him all the time, because we always said it was funny when he was getting on somebody else, but if it was you, it wasn't funny. But what made him so great, I think I mentioned it earlier, he knew what buttons to push on every player. He never treated everybody like robots. And like I told you earlier, my thing was my size and being little. So he knew whenever to get me going, just to talk some noise, because I'm serious, I would be so mad. Like, I was catching the ball well one time. And he's like, you know what, Bake, you're starting to really catch the ball well. And then they threw me a slant and I dropped it. I take it all back. I dropped my rookie year 8 passes, dude. The first time we played our practice in like 10 below weather. And after practice, he called everybody up, said the speech, and told me to come to him. And he's like, you know what? I don't even know why we blankety blank drafted you. And I'm like looking at, you understand how pissed off that made me, man. And stuff like that. So he knew what buttons to push on me, and that's what he wanted. He didn't want the lip talking back. He wants you to respond, and that's what I think he does to all the players. And I think he did it. No, that was with the Patriots. He referred to one of those receivers as she. But I'm sure the Cowboy players will tell you some similar stories, man. He knew how to push those buttons on every player to bring out the best in you.
Yeah. So now, so obviously, look, what was it like for you just to spend your whole career with one team? Because now it's a rarity in these days, because the NFL is a business, a lot of movements happening. But for you, how was it just to spend your whole career with one team?
I mean, it was a blessing, man. And I really appreciate the Giant fan base and the Giant organization. Like I mentioned to you earlier, I was at an event last night, and I've been doing those events with the Giants for the past 30 years. They have what they call Giants alumni, and they keep us all busy. I was with the David Deal and David Tyree last night.
Yeah, David Tyree, my guy.
Yeah,
I had
helmet catch.
I had him on the show last year.
Did you? I called him the real 85, man, because I'll tell you, I tell him every time, man, I was jumping up and down when you made that catch, bro. So the fan base and what the Giant organization do for us is second to none. And and I'm not just wearing this stuff because I'm on air here. If you go to my Facebook page, you see I wear Giant stuff every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now looking back at your career, how grateful are you to be in this position, winning a Super Bowl, playing at Fresno State, getting drafted by the New York Giants, and you're seeing all that history and being part of one team, part of one nation, and how grateful are you to be in this position right now?
Man, ever since I was a kid, every box has been checked. Mm-hmm. I wanted to score. I wanted to play in the NFL. I wanted to score a touchdown in the Super Bowl. I wanted to win a Super Bowl. I wanted to score in a playoff game. I wanted to be instrumental in winning a playoff game. Man, every box is checked. I would say the only thing that's not checked is, at one point I always wanted a Lamborghini Countach. That's an older version, but that's probably the only box that I didn't check. But heck, I got a simulator over here.
Yeah.
Cockpit. I can play Forza and drive any
Oh.
Lamborghini I want. So
That's awesome.
I would say every box has been checked, man.
Yeah. So now, what's it like been for you after your football career, and obviously seeing the game from a different side of it, and still going to these events with the Giants? And the one thing I love about the Giants, especially, and all these other teams who they bring back their great like legends and greats and former players to come back just to have a reunion basically,
Mm-hmm.
and see fans again and reunite. So what's that been like for you after your football career?
Man, I love it. And the Giants are one of the best teams to do it. And a lot of the other NFL teams are trying to pattern themselves after what the Giants do for all of their players, not just the guys that won Super Bowls. They have a motto: once a Giant, always a Giant.
Yeah.
For instance, say someone doesn't live here, but they played for the Giants and they're going to be in town for 2 weeks. You could call them up and say, hey, you got any events?
Yeah.
And what happens is the Giant fan base is so strong, man, that, they always want players for
Right.
certain events and stuff. And to answer your question earlier, I really enjoy using what little celebrity I have to give back. That is the best part, like attending events where bringing a signed helmet just by myself and Otis Anderson can raise like $500 to go help some kid with cancer treatments and stuff like that. Little things like that. And it's a blessing. As you can imagine, I get a lot of calls to do those. And if I'm available and don't have a paid event that day, how could you not do that?
Right.
Hey,
we can have a Giants reunion at my house, because since Landon Marshall lives right here, we can have Landon Marshall, Sam Garnes, and Stephen Baker at my house.
Hey, you let me know, man. You right down the road. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to ask you though, now seeing the history of the Giants and from you guys, and then now, if you go to the recent Super Bowls with Eli Manning, you got David Tyree, Fred Robbins, Brandon Jacobs, Tiki Barber. I had Brandon Jacobs on the show a couple months back, and he was
Nice.
on the talk to also, and I also had Fred Robbins too. Basically, I had half the Giants on the show. So what's it like to seeing the history of that, and then seeing them win 2 Super Bowls against the Patriots, and now they're still young and developing now, but what's it like to seeing the 2 Super Bowls, the recent Super Bowls?
Man, I gotta tell you, that was probably the proudest moments of my life, because like now I'm a fan, I'm a fan, and I was blessed to be able to play for the Giants. And I always tell people, how cool is it to be a fan of the team you played for? And when they won that third Super Bowl, man, I was a permanent substitute teacher at this school. I had these kids so fired up, man. And they all went home. They came back Monday and had these big smiles. And Mr. Baker, you said it. And it's like 800 kids at this school.
Wow.
But I couldn't have been so proud. I was so proud of them, especially the manner in which that was a season I did not want to end, that third Super Bowl. It was like, okay, now what? Because they won on a 3-game playoff winning streak, and the manner which they won all those games, that walk-off kick against the Green Bay Packers. Come on, man. When he Tynes.
Oh, yeah, Lawrence Tynes. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, the story, right? He just ran out there before Coughlin could say anything, because he had missed the one earlier.
Yeah.
And then Coughlin, being the great coach, what the hell, just go with it, right? And oh man, I couldn't have been more proud of him. And then to get the fourth one, that one was kind of a shocker. Like, we're gonna do it again? You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't get any better. And now, though, it's the dark times, and I guess this is what fans were going through before the '86 Super Bowl, because these are definitely some dark times. But if you know the Giant organizations, man, Mara and Tish, trust me, man, they are they're desperate. I mean, you know what I'm saying? They're passionate. They're not taking this lightly.
Yeah. So obviously, I've seen pictures of you with Justin Tuck. So what's it like working with him, and just tell me, he's a great player too. So what was it like watching him as a player, Justin Tuck?
Yeah. It's so cool when I meet all of these guys because of the connection. I could always say to them, hey, Tom Coughlin was my wide receiver coach.
Yeah.
Then they'll look at you and be like, whoa, okay. Because, some of them don't remember us. But I will say this, Joe Judge does a great job bringing the older guys around to talk to the guys. They have us do videos about the upcoming team, have us talking to get them fired up and stuff like that. So But Justin Tuck, man, he is just all class. I mean, I did a thing with him at the casino there, and every time I meet him, he is just all class. I believe he writes children books.
Hmm.
Him and his wife, they do something like that, and I classy guys, man. Like I said, the Giants do a good job of drafting class people, and that's why I'm proud to be part of this organization too.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on this year's NFL season so far? Obviously, we're already in week 6, which is crazy. It's going so fast. And so what are your
Yeah.
thoughts so far in this season?
Well, it's of course we want it to be a little better, but I will say this: we got the Rams Sunday,
Yeah.
and what an opportunity! That's how I always look at stuff. This is an opportunity to shock the world because we're going in there shorthanded, and I always say you got a puncher's chance, and these guys going to have to really galvanize and come together and fight through all this adversity and the injuries that they have because basically I don't want to to me it was easy, next man up, you know what I mean? You're an NFL player, nobody practices to be a backup, so here's your chance, show your you know what, man. So that would be my message to these backup guys, man. Get out here and start playing because we need you. I mean, look at all the receivers. That list is like this long. We got injured people. So time for the backups to come out and shine.
Yeah. So right now, which receiver do you like to watch now in this generation? And also, what are your thoughts on CD Lamb?
Cocky, but he makes plays. I'll give him that, but he's cocky. I'm not a big fan of all of this. You know what I'm saying? You get a first down and all of this. I'm not, because I wasn't that guy.
Right.
But I can't take nothing away from him. He's a talented receiver. But my guys, I like Larry Fitzgerald.
Mm-hmm.
He catches everything away from his body, and he just does the right thing to me as a receiver. Hand the ball to the ref, whatever. I understand that some guys that gets them fired up, to act that way and whatnot. But, it just sometimes that comes back to bite you in the butt when you do it in the first quarter. And then we need you in the fourth quarter, and then you mess around and drop one, whatever. But Kadarius Clowney for us, the rookie.
Oh, Kadarius Toney.
I'm sorry. Yes. His footwork, I look at that and I'm telling you, he has what we call shake and bake.
Yeah, he had a great game against us. Yeah.
Yes, and he plants that foot and go, and I don't see that out of a lot of receivers. And he just got to get his temper under control and play smart. And I think we see a lot of big things out of him. And Slayton got hurt for us too, and I was a little upset at that, and as well as Shepard. I know injuries, but I mean, I don't know the severity of the injuries, but I know they used to wrap us up, bro, and say go. And you walk but when you run, it don't hurt. But we used to play with sprained ankles and whatnot. So I don't know. They got to get past these injuries, though. I mean, we always say the thing: are you hurt? Or are you injured? Because you can play hurt, you can't play injured.
So if I'm just curious, if the right opportunity presents yourself, would you consider being like a wide receivers coach for them or some other team?
No, I did that. I coached high school football for 4 years, and it was fun. And I really like working one-on-one with guys, like maybe a group of guys, so I can go over techniques with them, versus the whole being involved with a professional team or college. I had enough of it in high school, and plus it takes a lot of time, and I enjoy doing other things like the golf events that I do, the speaking engagements, the football camps as well. So no, but if someone wants me to work them out one-on-one with their kid, man, I really enjoy it because I have a lot of knowledge. Tom Coughlin taught us a lot.
Yeah. So I coach soccer. I coach soccer now here, and so what advice would you give to young kids and other athletes that are trying to reach their goals? And what advice would you give them?
Well, listen to your coach.
Yeah.
He knows more than you know. And, and I always encourage even the high school kids in junior high, a lot of them kind of shy away from running track, and I always tell people track will enhance whatever sport you're doing. And most kids, they're worried about coming in last place in the races and whatnot. I'm like, no, what you do, I did track for 15 years. I coached it and I ran it in high school and junior college. What track does, it gives you a benchmark. So you come out there, you run 11 to 100 meters your first time. By the end of the year, if you get down to 11 flat or 10-9, you're a better football player. You're a better soccer player. You're a better basketball player. So that's my bet, especially if you're little, because if you can't bench 225 pounds, you better run a 4.340 to turn some heads.
Yeah. So before we get to the last two things, where do you keep your Super Bowl ring?
Right here. I think it's right here. When I do it, oh yeah, it's right here. I take it out just about every place I go.
Oh, nice. Let's go. There you go.
Yeah, and I have a trophy too, a miniature trophy that I take that we got from, it's 30 years old. It's made out of the same material. It's just a little smaller, about that big, and I shine it up and take it when I go speak. And it's always a big hit, man. From 5 years old to 80.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. So the last two things here. Our team is part of this foundation. It's called the Hugh Jackson Foundation. He's a former NFL coach. He's now the offensive coordinator at Tennessee State with Eddie George. And we're trying to help him prevent human trafficking, making sure the community stays safe and kids stay safe. And it's still horrible out there with the human trafficking situation. So we're trying to make a stop at that. So we'll send you the foundation so you can go check it out.
Oh, please do, man. Because I tell you, I have a strong place in my heart for those jerks, man. I say we should execute them all. Yeah. I'm sorry.
I agree. I agree with you 100%.
Right? It's just horrible, bro.
Yeah, it's just I can't. I
can't fathom it.
Yeah. And so the last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, or the essential workers right now?
Oh my God, of course. Thank you guys. You guys are the true heroes. And and I know a lot of people don't want to get vaccinated and whatnot. It doesn't hurt, man. I'm scared to death of needles. I was scared to go and I was all tense. And the lady was like, sir, you gotta relax, just relax. And she said, it's done. I'm like, really? So when I went for my second vaccination, I was out looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the booster.
Yeah.
But I want to thank you guys for putting your lives on the line so we can get through this. And, God bless you. And if you ever need anything, I'm here for you.
Yeah, well said. And there it is. That wraps up episode 922 with former Fresno State NFL wide receiver Stephen Baker, who played for the New York Giants, won a Super Bowl against the Buffalo Bills. There it is. There's a ring, guys. Go see that. go check him out on all social media formats. Follow him. This guy, obviously, his nickname is a touchdown maker. There's a reason for that. He was scoring touchdowns throughout his career. Man, what a great story and great time here today. And thank you again, Stephen Baker, for coming on. And it was truly an honor. And we would like to have you back on the show at some point down the line so you can meet the full team. Like I said, we should get together like for a Giants reunion here in Jersey with Stephen Baker, with Sam Garnes and Lennon Marshall. So keep up the great work, and thank you again.
Thank you, and let's make that happen for real.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.